Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life's Black Belts. Once again, I'm your host, Eric Alders, and today's Life's Black Belt is a good friend of mine that I've gotten to know over the last few years. His name is Scott St. John, and Scott is the owner of Pearl Street Fitness in Colorado. He is an ambassador for Isagenix. He runs a worldwide workout online for free. He's got a lot of amazing videos he puts out that covers all sorts of fitness for everybody. We're going to get into that. It's called Worldwide Workouts. And he also runs a very successful Facebook group online as well we'll get into called Strong, Confident Living. And I think Scott represents a lot of things I connect with. Not only do I know him as a very active father, but he's a very supportive and loving husband, which as a married man myself, maintaining a relationship for as long as we've had presents its challenges, of course. So I want to discuss that with him. But is a very motivated, confident entrepreneur and just has an energy to him. And in martial arts, I find that when you have a certain energy and passion, people around you can feel it. They're inspired by it, and that's how you draw them in. And Scott stands out as one of those guys to me. So I wanted to bring him on the show and learn a little bit more about how he became the man he is today. So without any further ado, please welcome our guest today, Mr. Scott St. John. How are you, sir?
Hey, thank you so much, Eric. I'm great, and I'm excited to be on here, and I'm excited to be a part of this Life's Black Belt series because I just think that's such a great line and a true testament to really how life is. So thanks for having me, man.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man. So first of all, I see you in this beautiful setting, and I know you've recently moved from Colorado and took the family, and you're now living the life in Malibu, California. So how's that been?
It's been a beautiful transition. This is something we've been thinking about doing for a couple years now. Just literally taking the family from the mountains of Colorado to the beaches of California to not live in winter anymore. That was our biggest thing. So we've been here for about 2 weeks now. It's been a wonderful transition, and we look forward to starting the next chapter here of our lives.
That's excellent, man. I've only been to California for like 2 days on business, but everyone that knows me and my wife have told us that like we're made for California, the lifestyle, the people. And so maybe one day, but I'd love to come out and tour it, have tons of family and friends out there and have invites from the north to the south coast. So hopefully I'll get out there sooner than later. It looks gorgeous, by the way.
It is. And
go ahead.
I was going to say it is. And now you've got friends in Malibu. So come
awesome,
anytime.
Man. Beautiful. Malibu's a very popular area in California, right? There's a lot of celebrities that live in that particular part of California.
Yeah, it's a very interesting part of California where, a lot of the celebrities come, but they come for a different reason. They come to actually get unnoticed. So it's a really laid back community, and it's, there's no resorts here. There's nothing like that. So there's a 13,000 people community here of just really laid back, successful, high vibration people, and we're excited to kind of get in the mix of it.
That's amazing, man. And it's a lot of people. It's another thing that stands out about you, picking yourself up, your family, and moving from comfort and moving from what's normal and feels good and taking this whole life change. A lot of people dream about it, but don't actually get up and do it. Was that something that was super challenging for you guys? Because I know the types of personalities you have, or was it just like, let's do it. You get up and you go. So how'd that come about, man?
Well, again, I think that goes back to the idea of always being willing to fail in order to succeed. Right? It's part of that idea where we almost become complacent and comfortable in our lives. And I talk to people a lot about this because I talk to people about my journey and where we've been and how we've moved all over the place. And, people always stop me. They're like, man, I wish I could do that. And I'm like, whoa, time out right there. Because the only difference between me and you is I don't wish it. I actually do it. And it's scary. It's scary as can be. Absolutely. And I think we kind of relish in that, because this is a line I like to use in my gyms and when I'm doing, training with people, get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Because as you get uncomfortable, it forces you to grow. And, Laura and I are definitely in that mindset where we continually want to evolve ourselves. We continually want to push ourselves. And that was kind of the step here to move to Malibu. We always kind of had the idea as like, well, we could go to California and someday maybe we'll make it to Malibu, where we, kind of had this opportunity that kind of arose for us. And we're like, okay, here's an opportunity for us to actually get to Malibu. Is it going to be really difficult? Is this going to be stinging for us? Absolutely, but it's going to force us to grow. So I think when I talk to people about the abilities we all have, and I tell them, like, there's no difference between anyone, right? We all put our pants on the same exact way, one leg at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And it all starts between your ears, and it's something you just need to make a decision with. Like, are you willing to try something new? Are you willing to fail? Because, I've failed a lot of times in my life, and every time I've failed, I've used that as motivation to be like, okay, what do I need to do differently next time so I don't? So now my failures are decreasing, my successes are increasing. And I think it just comes from that attitude of like, I can, I will. That's another one big for me. Yeah. And really just sticking your neck out there and going for it, right? Leaders lead from the front, and you got to be able to take that initial step, and you've got to be able to just kind of get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is why I got you on the show, because I mean, these are words I actually use in class all the time, because a good martial arts training program that we have, because we do jiu-jitsu and MMA and kickboxing, and a lot of martial arts that involve practical resistance with a partner, where you have to train and be put in very uncomfortable positions, but you have to find peace in the chaos, to remain calm, to keep yourself humble. And I agree that when you force those situations, that's where your strength really comes from. And your key line there that I think holds a lot of people back is being comfortable failing. And that's not something that a lot of people are comfortable with. And I've even had parents here that have had their kids, because we judge and we pass, we fail. We don't just give belts away. I've had some parents literally say to me, I don't want my kid to experience failure anymore. I can't keep seeing them upset. And I'm like, I'm okay with that, because your greatest successes come from this. And I'll tell them often, there's like a good quote that's basically like, what's the difference between the white belt and the master? And it goes that the master has failed more times than the white belt has even attempted. So you need the failures to find your success. So, you are definitely speaking like a life's black belt for sure. So why don't you take me back? You talked about failures you had in life. I know what kind of guy you are today. Where did Scott St. John grow up, and what kind of kid was he?
Yeah, so I grew up in a really small rural town in Vermont. I grew up in an entrepreneurial setting where my mother and father and my uncles all owned businesses together. So I grew up as an entrepreneur. I grew up in a kind of a household where you had to work hard and actually sacrifice time for money. And that made a huge impact on me, because, I was a pretty athletic kid growing up. I was in all the sports. I really did excel in a lot of the different sports, because I was just super active, but I never had my parents there to support me, because they were always in the business working, because for them, their work and their success allowed them to then give me the things that they didn't have. So they felt like, the sacrifice was worth that. But again, I just wanted them to be with me at times, right? They never, ever made it. They may have gone to one or two of my events throughout my entire kid's career. And that made a lasting impression on me. I wanted to figure out how I could be there for my kids, and what I could do eventually someday if I were to have children, where I didn't have to sacrifice time for money. Because I wanted to be there for those little moments that left a lasting impression with me. So I grew up in Vermont. I graduated high school on a Friday night, and I left Saturday morning, and I never lived in Vermont again. So I was kind of like even pushed, right, to do something different. So I went up to Maine for the summer. Then I went to college in Connecticut, where I met Laura. Laura and I met at 19 and 20. So we've been now together for almost 25 years. Wow. And we then have just, we actually, I was in college for entrepreneurship, believe it or not. And in my third year of college, I realized that I was an entrepreneur, and I didn't need a certificate to tell me that. So I dropped out of college after my third year, almost completely done with my credits. And Laura did too. And we ended up working and starting a business with her family that was called Imagine Tomorrow back in the day, which taught children technology skills. And Laura and I helped package that together into an offering that we then licensed to about almost 800 locations around the country.
Wow.
And we partnered up with the Discovery Channel. And once we did that, I was like, okay, that was about 16 years in. I was like, I'm ready to do something else. So I retired from that company. And that's when I got into fitness, because I've always been into fitness. I've always been into health. I've always been active. So I wanted to take my passion that I found in teaching towards adults. So we opened up a gym in Denver, and everyone was like, what are you doing? You're going to open up a gym in one of the fittest cities in America and think you guys are going to be successful? And I was like, absolutely. Yeah. Watch me. And so we opened up our gym doors, and it went off like wildfire. Because again, like what we do at our Pearl Street Fitness Gym it's not at the actual essence of the workout, but it's at the essence of the experience. How we actually create a tough workout through a tough, mindful experience that just creates strong, confident people. And that was my tagline in the gym: strong, confident people. And it's not just the idea of creating strong muscles, but creating the muscle between your ear and what that confidence can do with you outside the gym walls. And that's how we kind of then went and folded that into what we now have as Strong, Confident Living, which is a community of fitness, nutrition, and mindset, because we believe those three are life's black belt, and that's how you create a fit person. And it's not necessarily the idea of just how you look, but actually how you feel on the inside and what goes on again between those ears.
Well, I think the hardest part is working that muscle out, because our mind, for good or different, our ego could play both sides. Either your ego fluffs you up and tells you how amazing you are one day, and the next day tells you that you suck.
Or the next second.
You're never going to be anybody. And we all have these voices that we have to learn to manage and balance out to achieve the things we want to achieve. And we've all seen it. We've seen people that become multi-millionaires and are absolutely miserable, and unfortunately, might take it to a point of taking their own life. The people that seem to have not much money to show, but they're most generous, family loving, community supporting people that are around. So it's very unique how we're all made up, and learning how to control the muscle between our ears, like you said, is much more difficult than developing your biceps, I think, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You did a super quick highlight, so there's a few things I just wanted to rewind back to. First, when you grew up in Vermont, do you come from a big family? Like, do you have a lot of brothers and sisters?
I have a big family, but I'm an only child.
Okay.
My parents had a really hard time having me. It actually took them about 7 years before they conceived me. They actually had given up. And at that point, of course, they took the pressure off themselves. And when you take the pressure off yourselves, things flow better. And so they had me, and then they decided that they just they didn't want to go through that again. Mm-hmm. So I'm an only child, but I grew up with cousins that were very close to me, again, because we all worked as a family business. So I had a big supportive group, but I also spent a lot of time by myself at home in my early ages when my parents were off working before and after school, right? So I learned a lot of that self-reliantness to me. But I really did have a loving family support. And they just showed me what a hard work ethic was all about.
Mm-hmm. So when you're in school and you said you were very athletic, what sports were the ones that drew you in that you played? Were you baseball, football? What were you doing?
So I started out at 5 years old as a baseball player. Okay. Really excelled at that. I mean, to the point where they were like, "This is a path for you." And then, as it was getting really serious, and right before high school, I decided I was just done with it. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I picked up golf and started to excel in that. I was a big skier. I played some football in high school, but as much as I liked football, I just never really found that team to be something I gelled with. So I just didn't do that much. I worked a lot also through high school, more than most people did because of our family business. Again, which kind of really provided a lot for me. It taught me a lot. Like I was actually running my own departments at our store. We had True Value stores. So at the age of like 16, I was in charge of departments at our store. And then, so I would say golf, baseball, skiing were kind of my biggest things that I did.
And what kind of
And
student were you? Because you're a super motivated, forward-thinking guy now. Were you that same kid growing up? Because we all have our paths where we grow and we bounce back from and we make our mistakes. Or were you just a rock star also in school growing up and
I
doing
would
great?
say in school, I was an average student. I mean, I
Okay.
absolutely hated school. I was so bored.
Ditto.
I hated sitting in a seat and being lectured to all the time.
Mhm.
It never really fit me.
Mhm.
I actually didn't even want to go on to college. I only did because I was told I should.
The thing you're
Because
supposed to do, right?
yeah, because I just, again, like I knew I knew I wanted to be my own boss because that's what I had seen and that's what I had grown up with. So it was for schooling for me, it just never really, it never really excited me.
Mhm.
Um, so I was, but I wasn't bad. Like I was still decent. I could have done better, I'm sure, if I applied myself more.
Right, right, right.
But I did everything I needed to do to be like, your average B student, and be like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah,
All right,
man. I
off
feel
to the
like I have
next.
a very similar path. What you talked about dropping out of college. I also had 90 credits left when I went to school. Went to school because it's a thing you're supposed to do. But for the first 2 years, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I've been thinking about running my own martial arts school since I was probably like 11 or 12 years old because I've been doing it for my whole life. The only other thing I thought about doing at one point was becoming a chef. But I do remember sitting in
That's cool.
school. Yeah, I did restaurants and while I was going to school, same with you, did the waiting at tables, bartended, ended up becoming a manager at Ruby Tuesdays. And they wanted me at one point to open up my own store. And that's when I kind of had to draw a line in the sand and be like, is this what I want to do? Or do I really want to take the risk and jump into this dream? And for me, I wanted to take an attempt at a dream that I failed at, but no, I tried it and always wonder like, what if? So same thing. I sat in college and I just sat there and it wasn't for me. Everyone learns differently. We have a different type of an energy to us than some people love school, and that's wonderful for them.
Yep,
But I
it
think
is.
the way that we're built similarly was not the same. And also kind of mirroring your timeline a bit is that that's where I met Tiffany. I met her in school and we both kind of made that connection. It was almost at that moment that it was like, okay, this is kind of why we came to school here. This was the
Exactly.
purpose. We came to college so that we were able to meet. Now let's move on with our life. And I'd say within a year of us getting together, we both pulled out from school. And fast forward, I owned my own business for 12 years, and she's a general store manager of one of the busiest Starbucks on the Mid-Atlantic. So, again, college isn't for everyone. It does put a lot of people in debt, but for the people that it's made for, I mean, God bless them. So
Exactly.
let's rewind. You got an average school life. You're an athlete. You don't want to go to college, but you do. Prior to going to college, is there any significant moments in your youth or your teen years that stand out to you that shaped you, good, bad, or indifferent? I mean, I have plenty that I could reflect on, but before we jump into college and meeting Laura, anything that stands out to you from your youth that helped shape you? Or I know you mentioned
Yes,
working for your family, but I was curious.
there there are two defining moments when I was actually pretty young that
Okay.
really shaped my life. Number one, I think I was maybe 8, 9 years old, and I was having a moment where I was complaining about something to my grandfather, and I was hemming and hawing about this, and I told him I couldn't do something, and he stopped me in my tracks, and he pointed his finger at me, and he gave me the sternest look I'd ever seen, and he said, "Scott, don't ever use the word can't because it's not in the St. John dictionary."
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. I mean, the way he said it, the look he gave me, and the definitiveness in it, I was like, all right, I'll never say that word again. So that's where really my I can, I will attitude came from. And
Wow.
then I remember another moment where my parents both grew up in the Catholic Church and kind of rebelled away from it as they grew older. And so I asked them one day, I'm like, why don't we go to church? And they were just like, why? Because if you want to believe in anything, believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. So that was those real two moments at a young age. I think I was, again, maybe around 10 or 11 at that point for them, just stuck in my head so strong, and really helped define who I was, really kind of gave me that attitude of like, I can do anything if I truly believe in it. So I've really lived my life from that moment forward, a lot like that. And I think it really set me on my path. To be great and to not be so great at times, but you learn from your mistakes.
It amazes me how some moments of our lives you could kind of close your eyes and remember those moments that you've brought up, and there's other days where I can't remember what I wore, 2 days ago,
Sure,
or
sure.
what I ate. So
Because they're meaningless.
exactly, you have these moments
Mhm.
that shape the man that you become, and it's neat that you can look back on that and reflect and pinpoint where that changes, and it's thankful that you have a good family that was able to teach you those things, man. That's very, very cool.
Kudos. Yeah,
Yeah, man. So you, as you got ready to go off to school, you went in for entrepreneurship, and you weren't feeling it right away. And you said one thing amazing happened to you there. You met your future wife. So why don't you take me through that for a moment?
sure. So Laura and I actually met in a public debate class,
Okay.
which was kind of like this open forum class where we just all discussion. So we really got to learn each other and each other's views and opinions before we got to know each other. We were both dating someone else at the time, and that was a spring semester. So we left after that spring semester, and went on our way for the summer. And I remember that summer I did a road trip with one of my best friends all around the West Coast, and we were sitting in Flagstaff Mountain just outside of Boulder watching the sunset one night. And I turned and I looked at him and I'm like, I'm going to marry Laura Patterson. And he looked at me like, what? He's like, what are you talking about? You're not even dating the girl.
Huh.
I'm like, I know. I'm like, but I'm going to marry that girl. So fast forward a couple weeks later, we're driving into campus. I was living off campus. He was living on campus. I was driving him in to help him move in. And lo and behold, we're driving down what was called Dorm Road. As we're driving down Dorm Road, here comes this blonde walking up the sidewalk. And I was like, oh my God, that's Laura. And I pull up next to her, roll down the window, and I'm like, Laura. And we start talking, and one thing leads to another. And she's like, why don't you come up and see me tonight? I'm like, done. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'll be there. And she leaves, and I turn and look at my buddy Chris, and I'm like, see. And
that's great.
the next, so that was August 30th. And then I went up that night, and I was going to a Dave Matthews concert on September
Yeah,
2nd.
nice.
And that I asked her to that Dave Matthews concert, and that was our first date ever. And that was it. I mean, I knew I was going to marry that girl from there on in. And then we got married 5 years later on September 2nd.
What was it when you're dating somebody else and you're only in a debate class with her that stood out to you and made you feel that, looking back on it, like saying, I'm going to marry this girl, knowing that you've ended up with her? What was that?
There was just a certain energy about her that I really just enjoyed. I liked her point of views. She had a similar background to me. I thought she was gorgeous, of course. And there was just a feeling I got from her. There was a feeling that I just felt comfortable. I felt like this was just a person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And it just seemed so easy, like just like such clarity. I almost couldn't even put a pinpoint to it. It just felt right.
I completely relate. It sounds very cliche that it's love at first sight, but very, very quickly, again, similar. We meet at school. I was in a fraternity called Theta Xi. She was in a sorority called Sigma Delta Tau. And at the time, our organizations didn't really talk much to each other because they didn't view us as like the cool guys at the time. So apparently she had a little bit of a crush on me. I ended up running for homecoming king. I didn't get it. I got like first runner up, whatever. Fast forward, we end up at an after party, and we, saw each other in passing a lot. And she just walked up to me, congratulated me. We ended up talking for about 2 hours. That's what you do usually 2 o'clock in the morning at a frat party, right?
Yep.
You talk
Yep.
for 2 hours in the corner and just caught up and just had this instant connection with each other. And she's like, I have to go to the bathroom, and came back from the bathroom about 5 minutes later and just walked up and gave me a kiss. And we've literally been together every day since. It's wild, man. So
That's
very,
awesome.
very interesting story that you got there, that you had a similar experience. We were looking at rings 6 months into it already, and people thought we were crazy when I met her at 19. I was 21. We got engaged a year later, and at that time, the majority of people in my life said that we were throwing our lives away. What are we doing?
Of course.
And fast forward, a lot of those people are divorced or still looking for love and trying to figure out how we have what we have, and are very happy for us, but kind of want the same thing. And it's like, wait a second, you didn't recognize this early on. You thought we were making a mistake. So it's neat to know when you have the feeling that you and I both had, and it feels that real. and fast forward, it's still just as fresh, just as new, and just as exciting. It's a blessing that you found that, man. So I'm very happy for you.
Oh, absolutely.
I know Laura very well. She's a very, very special woman. So I could see how you guys just connected like magnets, man. So
Yeah, it was
you
great.
guys were together a few years before you got engaged. Did you guys like move in right away, or did that take some time?
So we moved down after a couple of months from school again. We dropped out of school that following year, and we moved down and we started living with her parents actually when we started working out of Jersey. Moved to there, actually ended up moving into the basement of her aunt and uncle's house for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Where we were building the business and creating this new business together. And then one thing led to another. We became more successful. We got our own place, ended up hiring the guy that I told that I was going to marry Laura to. And he came down and started working with us. And then one thing led to another. Then when we started that was probably 7 years in now, we then decided that we were going to start licensing the program out. And not to say anything, but I never wanted to live in Jersey. And we decided once we started licensing the program, Laura came home after like the second week of training people, and she's like, "We can do this from anywhere." And I was like, "Sold." We put the for sale sign in the lawn and sold our house in 10 days and moved to Breckenridge.
What was it about Colorado that brought you guys there?
I always wanted to live in the mountains. I always was attracted to the open sky, to the beautiful weather. I always wanted to live out west ever since I went out when I was in high school to Utah and experienced powder for the first time. And I was like, oh my God. And then I went back, and then my parents were like, if you go to school west of the Mississippi, we won't pay for it because we know you won't finish. So I ended up going to Connecticut and still not finishing. But I was always just drawn to the lifestyle out here, just the activity involved. And again, like that open blue sky, the sun all the time, just beautiful weather. So we were both attracted to that lifestyle and picked up. And again, just people thought we were nuts. We were 6 months pregnant with our second child at that point. And we moved up to 9,000 feet and started running our business from there, and really enjoyed a lifestyle of both work and pleasure. And it was just a great marriage of it until we decided that living at 9,000 feet after 4.5 years was just a lot of cold weather. And we decided, or was like, I just want to wear flip-flops. And that's when we actually first moved to Jackson Hole for a year, went to Jackson Hole just to check that out, decided that was a little bit too remote. And then that's when we came back to Denver. And that's when I decided to open up my gym and start that whole process.
Awesome, man. Before we even get to the gym, I got to rewind because you just dropped in there a little information that you were on your second child when you were making this move. So you got to go back a little bit and tell me about becoming a father, because I know how that was life-changing for me having the girls. We struggled for a couple of years and had to eventually do in vitro, and that's how we ended up with thankfully our twins. And
Awesome.
It's been a blessing. They're going to be 12 next month and going into 7th grade. So I'm dealing with all that amazingness of liking boys and all that fun stuff, but part of the job as a dad of girls. So anyway, thank you. That's why I got to heal my knee up quick so I can kick it.
Yeah, you do.
But tell me about, you guys, you get married, and then what's it like becoming a father for you? I already know how passionate you are about Laura, just hearing you talk about her. But what is your first son? Because you have 3 boys, is that correct?
Yeah, we have 3 boys now, 14, 12, and 8. And becoming a father was one of the scariest things in my life. I didn't know if I was truly ready for it. I didn't know how I was going to handle it. I didn't even know necessarily if I wanted to become a father. I was always like, I'm okay if we don't have kids. And Laura's like, oh, no, we're having kids. And so I was like, okay, it never, and I always knew though, it's funny. I told Laura when we really got serious and we're like, all right, let's start having kids. I'm like, I think I'm meant to have boys, Laura. I'm like, I really think I'm meant to have boys. And she's like, really? Why is that? I'm like, I just don't know. I just have this feeling. So here we go. Number 1 kid comes out. Boom. He's a boy. And I named him after actually my grandfather, Sam, who gave me if you don't ever say the word can't, and it's not in the St. John dictionary. So Sam is actually named after my grandfather. His middle name is Dante, which is named after Laura's grandfather. So he was a pretty special guy. And of course, in our family, my father was the first of the children, and my grandfather was the first. So there's been a boy from the first of the first of the first from the first for a lot of generations. So I had this little bit of pressure I felt on that, and thank God, I had a boy to keep that up. But it was a very scary experience. I mean, I won't lie. And it was, again, something I'm like, am I really prepared for this? Am I mature enough for this? And like, what am I going to be as a dad? It's been a learning experience the whole entire time. But one I've embraced, and one I took really serious. And even now, as they're 14, 12, and 8, and as I've been teaching my boys as they've grown, I've gotten a lot of people who've been like, wow, I can't believe the way you talk to your boys, because I talk to them as if they're men, right? Like I treat them as if they're young adults. And the biggest thing with that is I tell people, I'm like, listen, I am raising 3 men. And I'm like, I want them to act like men. I want them to respect what it means to be a man, and to have both that hard and soft side, and how important that is. I think, when I look around these days, I think a lot of the times, in our society today, we as men have been taught to become too soft, right? And almost give up our masculinity. And I'm like, I don't want to lose that in a male. Like, yes, we need to be soft and understanding. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, brother.
Okay. We need to be soft and understanding, but we also need to represent who we are and as a male, and what that means. So I've been really stern at times with my boys, but at the same time trying to teach them just respect, how to be respectful to yourself, to other human beings, especially women. And what that means and how that relationship works. And, the feedback we get from our boys, whether it's from teachers or other parents or whoever, I mean, we get like all 3 of them, we get the best comments back from people. And it's just like, awesome. Like, that's because I want to raise productive citizens in this society today. And it's hard, and like that, like what you're hearing from other parents being like, I don't want my child to experience defeat. And I'm like, what? Like, I am so sick of these participation medals, because it's setting us up for a society that doesn't understand what it feels like to fail, and how important that is to then be able to actually, deal with that. Because you get these, like you're seeing teen suicide rates up. You're seeing this. We're not being taught how to take failure and actually make it a good thing, because you're gonna fail in life. It's okay. Absolutely. And being able to talk about that and experience that from a young age is super, super important in my mind. So kudos to you for doing that at your gym and showing them how you learn from it. It's not that you fail and you suck. It's more like you fail, but you're amazing, and this is why, and how important that is. So I think as I teach my boys and becoming a father, hey, listen, I'm not the best dad in the world at times. I understand that. And I learn from that. But again, I'm also showing my boys what's real. And, and it's beautiful, because we have such a great relationship from what Laura represents and what I represent. Sometimes it's that complete yin and a yang, right? That really brings them together. And I just want to have, I want to have productive citizens, and I want to have kids that I can be proud of. And we talk about this all the time when we go back to the schooling aspect. We've told them already, we're like, you're going to have 2 options when you get out of high school. We can either start a business with you and give you the money for that, or you can go on to college. It's up to you. Like, if there's certain things and skills in which you need to learn in college, absolutely. I think it's important. I think it's something I'm 100%, but it's going to be up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. And we'll see what happens. But, becoming a father is a crazy experience. It's again, something you learn on a daily basis, and hope that you can produce some good kids out of.
It's fun. I mean, I wish we talked more often, because the more I hear you speak, I feel like you are the long lost brother from another mother, man. Because our philosophy is identical, because we too approach our daughters differently than a lot of people that I know, because even early on we found people around us that had successful relationships with their daughters, that they had this openness where they would speak to one another. Not only did they have a nice family connection, but they had a very well balanced friendship with them. And we would ask them, like, how did you get this and what do I need to do? And a lot of people would teach us, like, you need to not just parent your kid. You have to teach them, and your goal in life is not to hold them back. Your goal in life is not to just cover their eyes and ears, shelter them till they're 18, send them into the world unprepared and ready to fail. You have to talk to them about everything. You have to have an openness and honesty with them. And when they make their mistakes, you can't judge them immediately. You have to be there to support them and guide them through, because just like a teacher, our ultimate goal is to prepare men and women to be functional, positively functional in this world without us. I mean, ultimately, the goal is for us to prepare these adults for one day when we're not around. And the only way to do that is by being very direct and speaking very bluntly with them. And same thing, I was raised a Reformed Jew. I got bar mitzvah, the whole nine. But as I got older, I pulled away, kind of like your parents did, from religion a bit, because we focus more on not just what the tradition's important. It's what I pass on to my girls. It's not just about going to a synagogue or a church, because we don't. And I've had plenty of people that have judged us on, like, well, how are you going to teach your kids morals and values? And you know, my kids got straight A's and high honor roll in school, and they're competitive dancers, and they're very well behaved. And we teach them all the philosophies that's important that comes from religion. We dissect what really should be getting taught, in my point of view. And one thing, just to give you a very quick story, then I'll go back onto you. My girls are about to turn 12. My one daughter just had a crush that they like each other. And when my wife wanted to tell me, she was obviously a little nervous about telling dad that this day has come. And she, sat me down and told me the night before, which I told her the next day how much I appreciated, because she gave me an opportunity to react without her seeing me. And she also said, listen, this is an opportunity for you as a father to set up what kind of relationship you want to have with your daughter. Will she ever talk to you again about these feelings? So I was like, well, what do I do? Like, what do I say? And I think this is the key to a really good relationship is I don't know, you're a female, tell me, what should I do? And she said, listen, do you remember when you were young and you had your first crush? Did your first crush like you back? And I was like, actually, no. Well, that probably hurt your feelings a lot. Like, how exciting is it that she's got a crush and her crush likes her back? And I said, you know what? That is exciting. She's like, just talk to her about that. So I did. I was like, hey, how exciting this is. It didn't work out for me. And just so you know, I know you told mommy about it, but you could tell me about it as well. And I think that establishing this honesty and not like just pretending it doesn't exist and saying, I'm going to pull out my shotgun and that whole classic dad thing. My goal is that I'll have a very supportive, open relationship with the girls as they continue to get older. And when it comes to certain things that our school system does for children, I don't think that they teach them about diseases and STDs and pregnancy, and all these kids think that they are prepared for relationships. But what they don't teach them about is the emotion that comes with it. Like, are you emotionally prepared to be with this person and then they don't want to be with you tomorrow, or they want to be with your best friend, or they're going to tell everyone that you were with each other? And I don't think kids are prepared for that nowadays, just like the participation awards and the lack of failure combined is unfortunately leading to a lot of these teen suicide rates, unfortunately. So kudos to you. And we try to do the same to, first, one thing you mentioned is admit that you're not a perfect father. I think the old school setup from our parents' generation was like, I'm right because I'm your dad. I'm right because I'm your mom.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't admit when you're wrong. So the fact that you admit and tell your children, like, hey, sorry I yelled. Sorry I messed up here. I'm not perfect, but I'm going to teach you that people are not perfect in this world. And when you step up and admit that you were wrong and learn from your experiences, that's what life's all about. So, I mean, I think you're on the right track, and kudos to you. You're going to raise some great men there. So
right back at you, brother.
Thanks, dude. So, just wanted to dissect that a little bit. But coming forward now, you guys are out in Colorado. You settle yourselves in Denver, and Pearl Street Fitness starts to come about shortly after that, or is the timeline wrong there for me?
No. When we came back to Colorado, I actually started running we had bought a 23-acre ranch just outside of Denver, and I started running workouts out of my barn. And my neighbors. We didn't have a lot of neighbors, but we had enough neighbors who they started showing up. I'm like, I put it out. We had our own little Facebook group for our little community, and I put it out that I was going to be working out of my barn on Sunday mornings, and then people just started showing up and started training them, and lo and behold, before you know it, they were like, man, you're really good at this, you should actually do this. And I had thought about it in the back of my mind, but I was just like, is it something I really want to do? Do I want to make this my profession? I had been working with a kinesiologist when I was living up in Breck, actually, on movement of the body and programming, and because I was actually going to be doing something with him up there before I moved out of Breck, and it just never came to fruition. But I had learned such valuable pieces from him, and I went and I did get my certification, but really the certification was like, that was the easy part. Learning the movement and foundations of movement from him was really instrumental. And then bringing my background in teaching kids, and really how we set that up. So yeah, I came back to Colorado. I started running those out of my barn, and then that's when people were like, man, you should really do this. And I was like, you know what? The heck with that. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy the aspect of pushing people and getting people to believe they can do more than they could. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. We were at a really interesting point, again, where we didn't know where we were going to go, what we were going to do. And I just knew I didn't want to be in the field I was anymore, and I was ready for something new. So I jumped full feet into this gym in Denver again. And at that point, I wasn't even living in Denver, right? So it was about a 40-minute commute down to Denver. Oh. And I literally opened up my doors not knowing anyone. And we did a lot of guerrilla marketing, is what we call, where we went around within a mile radius and just introduced ourselves to all the local businesses, gave them all free classes for themselves and in their employees, and just told them, come on in, experience what we have to experience. And it literally started as a word of mouth thing. And I never really did any print advertising. And it just started as literally this like pavement movement. And once people came in, they were just started talking about it, and one thing led to another, and before you knew it, it was just people were coming through the doors, experiencing a great workout, and telling other people.
Now, I mean, I've seen you guys lead workouts, and the energy that you bring is intense, to say the least. But I think it's not just about intensity; it's about honest passion. And what I get from you, and I think what people get from me when they come here to see me teach, is that you have a passion when you speak, that you could tell that you truly love it, not just for the excitement of developing a new business and seeing it to be grow successful, but truly, deeply, I believe that if you still had a group of people in front of you that you had a chance to influence and to make better, and maybe you weren't able to live as luxurious of a life, that you would still be just as excited and passionate about contributing back. And that's what I feel just speaking to you. And I think
absolutely
that's what's missing from, I think, a lot of people that try to duplicate what you have and just say, hey, I'm fit, I like to work out, and I have some money, so I'll open up a business, and everyone will just show up and attend. And people are really good at feeling if someone is a phony or not. And
oh, yeah.
I think the key that you guys have is that you could feel the sincerity. So I'm assuming that's what a lot of people pick up, and why your gym has been so successful. And it's a very different model. Like, you don't have a gym per se where there's just a bunch of weights set up. So give everybody a little bit about, First of all, people travel to Colorado. So if they're in town and they want to visit, but if not, I'm sure some people in Colorado will listen to this. Maybe they don't know about your gym, and maybe they're thinking about working out. What does Pearl Street Fitness offer that the other, billion gyms that are in the world don't, and what makes you guys stand out?
So I think what makes Pearl Street different. So let me first describe what even the gym looks like. It's 1,200 square feet. We are boutique fitness. And I don't even like to call myself a gym, really, because when I think gym, I think that the weights, the weight machines, this, that, the open floor. So we are a boutique style of fitness that offers classes only. I only use 5 real pieces. I use kettlebells, dumbbells, Bosu balls, and med balls, as well as body weight, right? My body weight classes, people actually look forward to the most and the least, because they're actually the hardest classes. But my motto was, when I opened up my gym, was KIFS, keep it effing simple. Everyone always talks about how their workouts are the best, where I wanted to focus more on the experience and what it is we did. I'm like, I can, just give me a towel and I can kick your ass in a workout. That's easy. But what I do because people always like, oh, is it boot camp? Is it this? And that always gives me like that feeling of like a top down approach, where I believe, like I tell people, I'm like, I don't care who you are as you walk into this door. I only care about who you are when you leave. And I want you to be strong and confident. I want you to feel exhilarated and exhausted all together. So we offer full body conditioning classes, 5 days, 6 days, it's actually 7 days a week, classes only, hour classes and 45-minute classes during that lunchtime hour. But we offer a method that I've developed that creates camaraderie, not competition. And I think that's also really important, because I have stay-at-home moms and I have the top 5% Ironman and women athletes in the world working out together at their own pace, just absolutely encouraging and crushing it and showing that, again, it doesn't matter where you are, just show up and give me your best, right? And I say that to every time before my classes. I'm like, all I ask for is one thing: everything you've got that day, even if it's down here, that's okay. Like, not every day we're going to feel super great about ourselves, but showing up on those days in particular when you're not feeling it, that's how you really start to create that strong, confident attitude. So, you know, we put people through really intense workouts. They're passionate, they're delivered at a high intense level, but it's the idea of like, do you. And that's what I really try to tell people, because when you're able to be yourself, that's when you can show up and be great. And again, like, we don't compare, we don't compete. We are only there to be supportive of each other and to just give everything we got, so that when you leave there, you feel great and you feel like you can accomplish anything. So when you're out in life's world, right, and you're trying to do something, you can go back to that moment to be like, ooh, remember when I was up against that and didn't think I could and I pushed through it. That's really how I want people to remember. I don't want people to just remember that, yeah, we offer a great workout, but we offer a great attitude. And I think that really goes back to our years in teaching children and really getting them to think and to believe in themselves as well. Because, you know, as we grow, we really don't change. We just become older, and it's up to us to actually put the work in to do the change. So, you know, it's a really unique offering that we have, and people see results. So of course that's something that they always love and that they, you know, keep coming back for. But one of my brand promises also was to never do the same workout twice. So going into our 6th year at the gym, we've never done the same workout. And, you know, I think that's really a big testament to, again, the idea of continually growing, like, I get this a lot from my trainers when I'm training them on my method and how we're doing. And they're always asking me, they're like, am I there? I'm like, you're never there, right? Because you can't feel like you're there, because when you're there, you get complacent and that's when you start to miss things. You always have got to feel like there's just another little, even if it's just a millimeter, if there's just a little bit more I can do, it keeps your eyes open. It keeps it keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you wanting to actually produce better. So I always tell people, I'm like, we're never there. Even in life, like, you're never there. Even if you're like wildly successful and happy, are you truly doing the things to keep your mind and body at ease? And you mentioned this before, like, just because people are making millions of dollars doesn't mean they're happy. And it's really being able to find that connection to both, because I've met plenty of people that are out on the streets living there who actually are really, really happy. And it's weird, because you're like, don't you want to, like, this, that, and the other thing? And they're like, listen, I'm okay with where I'm at. And, you know, and I tell people, and that's another thing, like, I tell people, I'm like, don't be bashful about what you want either. You know, like, don't, like, yeah, like, I want some great things in my life, and I'm not going to be bashful about obtaining those, because those are the things that I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to have that car. I want to do this. And I'm like, it's not because I want it as a symbol. It's just because I want it, because that's something I want, and I'm okay with that. I want a barn full of cars. That's something I'm working towards. Right. And that's just because that's what I want. And it has nothing to do with, and people, I've heard this before too. There are people telling me like, oh, you just want to be famous. I'm like, wrong. I'm like, that has nothing to do with anything. I'm like, I just want to have an impact on the world. If that means people, it brings attention to me and people think of it like that, I'm like, that's their lens. Like, I just want to have an impact on the world. I want to show people that they can live a healthy, happy lifestyle. And it's really not that hard. Right. And how to spread that love, because there's a lot of people out there who are struggling in many aspects of their lives, and they really don't need to be. And if they can get the support through our community at Strong Confident Living and it turns their life up in some way, then I've done my job. And that's really all I want to do.
Well, I think one of the challenges that I have, that you may have as well, is a lot of people when starting something new, martial arts, fitness, trying to make this change in their life, is a lot of people think that they are too old, they're too out of shape, they're not going to be good. Everyone's going to judge them and make fun of them. They're going to stand out and feel awkward, and they'll go, "Well, I'll join martial arts class, but I have to start eating right and I have to start getting in shape." I'm like, no, you walk in here to start changing your life, to get in shape. Do you have that same issue when people are walking in the door? Are they their own worst enemy and feel as though it's crazy? Because sometimes they're like 22 years old and 25 telling me that they're too old. When I got a guy that's, in his mid 50s choking fools out on the mat, I'm like, suck it up, kid. But do you have that same issue with the fitness community as well?
I have that same issue with every community. Anyone, every walk of life, right? I tell people all the time, especially the ones who are coming through the gym door, I'm like, the hardest wait is the front door, right? And again, we get so caught up in what other people are going to think. And I think that's what I really always try to turn people around is, it's like, listen, you cannot run your life by thinking what everyone else is going to think of me, because then you're not truly being yourself. When you can, and I found this only, within the past probably 10 or so years, I actually found out when I started putting myself first and actually like really trying to be authentically me, that I could show up better for everybody else. And when and like, you gotta, you have to have this attitude of like, I don't care what you think of me. And it's not like a cocky attitude of that sense, but it's a sense of being comfortable with who you are, because there's so many people out there who are so afraid to be themselves because they're so afraid of being judged. And we live in a judgy world. I mean, I get that. But the more we can teach and the more we can train people to leave judgment aside, because when you do that, you start teaching others to do that. And then it becomes this ripple effect, right? It starts with that one lone crazy person out there. Before you know it, the next person comes. And then before you know it, the next person comes. And before you know it, you got this movement, this momentum going, right, and all these people doing the things like that. But, I mean, I see it all the time, this self-limiting belief, whether it's through fitness, whether it's through nutrition, whatever it is. And, that's why our three things are fitness, nutrition, and mindset, because we believe the three of them play such an integral role in just being a happy, fit human. And it takes work. And I think that's another thing that people have to realize, right? Like, it's not always roses. Like, there are days when it really stinks. And those are the days where you gotta step back and realize this feeling will pass. This is just a feeling I'm having right now. It's being clear on who you are, where you want to go, and just sticking to that and doing those daily actions that get you to continually move forward. But, people have got to be willing to put in the work.
Well, the energy that you're talking about is contagious, but it works both ways. So either you surround yourself by a lot of like-minded, positive people that have similar goals, and the community there all lift each other up, or you're around a lot of people that are negative, lazy, and you'll feel that group of people literally drain the life from your soul. So it is a lot about who you're with. So even if you're stuck in that drained feeling, by forcing yourself, and I love what you said, that the strongest weight is the front door. I'll tell everyone the same thing, like, what do I need to do to become a black belt? Or they'll look at me or someone else move or run through all these different people in class and be in shape and all that and say, well, how do you do that? I'm like, literally the secret is show up, walk in the door, be humble, ask questions, check your ego at the door. And that's it, man. And little by little, you'll get there. It's a consistency moving forward. But the same passion that can uplift you from a community, surrounding yourself by the wrong people can do the exact opposite. So for people that are riding the fence, man, just walk through the door at a place like Scott or at a martial arts school that I got, because you'd be very surprised how quickly all these juices start flowing through your body, and you completely take a hold of how you want to change your life for the better.
Yeah, and to add to that, we talk about this, and because so many people think it's such a 180-degree change, right? Like, they've got to make a 180-degree change, and that seems so unrealistic and so hard. We talk about the 1%, right? How a 1% change can then change your entire trajectory. Like it changes the complete path of your life. So it's the little things. It's the consistency and the steps that you have to do. It's 1%. It doesn't have to be 180. Like it doesn't happen like that. It's not that simple. But if you do the 1% and you do the daily action and you take it one step at a time, that's really all it is. It's a decision. Like I tell people, you either do or you do not. It's up to you.
There is no try. Yeah.
There is no friggin' try. I just had this conversation this morning with someone. I'm like, stop saying you're trying. I'm like, by you saying you're trying, you're just putting yourself up for fail. It's either you do or you do not. Make the decision.
I'll say sometimes to the students that you would need to start replacing the word should with must, right? Because if you should do something, if you should get in shape, if you should work out, if you should eat well, if you should do whatever, you don't. Because you should, but it's not. But if you must, if someone's like, listen, I need $10,000 by Friday, and you're like, there's no way, I don't have money like that, or I need $10,000 by Friday, or you have no house, you have no family, you have no anything, your life's over as you know it, whatever, you're going to figure some stuff out pretty quickly. So when things become a must, and you replace your language, which goes back to what we talked about, the muscle between our eyes. The language of how we approach things has a very big impact. But like we said, that 1%, the small change, just showing up. It's like people could be very rational in one way and realize that you just started your new job. You're not going to be the CEO by the end of the week. There's a path. It takes time. You're not going to join Pearl Street Fitness or a martial arts school or whatever it may be and have your body by the end of the week. It's going to take consistency, but they see the end result. And unfortunately, Americans specifically want that result immediately. And it's not realistic, but just be consistent with it and everyone could achieve the best version of themselves. That's all. So we see eye to eye on that a lot, as always. So why don't you take me forward a little bit, man? Pearl Street Fitness becomes a success. We see you rocking your Isagenix, Team Isagenix shirt right there. You're an ambassador. Sorry. Sorry,
someone's trying to say hi.
That's okay. You're a popular guy. Tell them I said hello from New Jersey. So what's up from Jersey? So
she's actually originally from Jersey. That's the funny thing.
That's it.
Living out here in Malibu.
Jersey in the house. But anyway, so Isagenix comes into both of your lives. I think, it's something you just started to introduce early on, and it's really maybe a 1% change for you and Laura that has steered your life a different way. So why don't you give a little background to everybody on how that's impacted your life?
Yeah. So, Isagenix was introduced to us really like 10 years ago, and we said no for 3 years. Said, no, we're clean eaters. We don't need this. We're good. Fast forward after the third child, after Luke, no matter what we were doing, we were working out together. We were clean eating, and we just couldn't get the final 10 pounds off of Laura. And so finally we're like, all right, we know who we need to see. Like, we've been asked to try this program out for years. Why don't we give it a try? Literally thinking just so we can, say it doesn't work. Right. Mm-hmm. So we order our first pack. We're like, let's see what happens. 15 days in, Laura comes to me. We had only made minor adjustments to our nutritional diet. I hate to use that word, but because again, we were clean eating. We just started infusing these products into our daily habitual eating. And 15 days in, Laura comes to me. She's like, guess what? I lost 10 pounds. I'm like, what? I'm like, really? Come on. She's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm actually feeling great. I notice I have a little bit more energy. I notice I'm actually, I'm able to sleep a little bit better. She's like, well, let's keep trying this product. So we order our next thing. We just keep ordering it. Realizing that this is a network marketing company, we were like, oh, we are not network marketers. We're like, no way. We do not believe in this model. I was taught you had to work hard. You had to sacrifice time for money. There's no way that this is actually a real business model. So fast forward, people had asked us, because we started feeling better. Our skin complexion was changing. We were glowing. People were like, what the heck happened to you guys? So we had shared it with a couple of people. Fast forward 4 years, and we get a 1099 in the mail, and we had made $11,000, and we were that the past year, and we were like, huh? We're like, what? How did we make $11,000 and we're not even doing anything? So we start diving into the business aspect. We start peeling back this company, Isagenix, and we're like, there's got to be something wrong with this. the more we peel back the layers, the more we fall in love with this company, realizing the integrity behind it, the no compromise attitude towards their products, past GMO, past organic standards, like really high quality. And then the family that's involved with it, really wanting to make a true impact on the world, to be the largest health and wellness company in the world. And we're like, you know what, maybe we should take a look at this a little bit more. We love the products. We've been on them now for 4.5 years. So we start, and again, I opened up my gym, and within the first 1.5 years, never told anyone about Isagenix. I was like, I'm not here to hawk shit. I don't want to be like that guy. And but then I hired an in-house nutritionist. My members were coming up to me. They're like, this is way too hard. And it was way too hard because people don't want a meal plan and they don't want to put that much effort into it. Right. So they kept asking me, well, what are you doing? So finally we're like, all right, we're coming out of the closet, right? We're coming out of the closet. We're going to start introducing this to people, and we start introducing it to people. People in the gym start immediately seeing results. People are like, what's going on? Like, we've been working out next to each other for months now. Why is it all of a sudden you're like shrink wrapping in front of me and my body's not changing that much? Well, right, we all know working out is really only 20% of it. It's really nutrition and how you're repairing and fueling yourself that truly makes the difference in you. So it literally blew up for us. We became the second biggest business builders in the world back in 2016. And then not knowing anything about what we were doing, we just knew these products are great. Put them in your body, watch what happens. And then that's how we really started to create strong, confident living, because we were busy people. We didn't necessarily want to add another business into our life, and we didn't want to have to support people all day like this, right? To me, that did not mean freedom. So we created this community to help support the people that were in Isagenix, not in Isagenix, to show them again how to live a healthy lifestyle, how it's a lot simpler than you might think, and to get out of your own way. And we also then realized, there was a system involved here. People, we could share this with other people. And actually, I just heard from one of the founder's wife the other day that really resonated with me. She's like, why is network marketing the best avenue for this nutrition company? Because it levels the playing field so that everyone can get the best quality nutrition. Because people are like, well, this is too expensive. And it's like, here is now an opportunity for you to then share this with someone, get paid for doing that. And then, like I tell people, I'm like, I get paid to eat now. Like, I don't have to pay for my healthy. And that was a big turning point for us, because we weren't always at the point where we were, where we could, spend the money that we wanted to and do the things that we wanted to do. Every cent counted. Not that it doesn't now, but we have a little bit more freedom with it because we've been able to do what we do. But now we're leveling the playing field for people so that people can get quality nutrition into their lifestyle, feel amazing, because the word Isagenix itself means balanced body. And that's what this program does. It really gets into your cellular levels and gives you the highest nutrition value that you can get, gives you the ease of it, and it helps you feel amazing. And like I tell people, I'm like, who doesn't want to feel amazing? So, I mean, I look at it as a blessing, even though it took us so many years to say yes to it, that we have these products now, and we have this community that we have, and that we're a part of a $1 billion company that is truly making a huge impact on the world through financial and physical health. And I'm really excited that I came out of the closet and decided to actually do this and supplement myself with this, because it's made a beautiful impact on both me, Laura, even our boys. All our boys take these products. Again, we infuse them into our daily eating habits, and it makes healthy simple. And I think that's probably one of the most exciting things for me, is that it just makes healthy simple for people, and they don't get, again, caught between the ears going, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to count that. I'm not a counter. I don't count calories. I don't count my macros and micros. I'm like, listen, I want to make it simple, because I want people off this train track off a roller coaster and on a train track, so it's sustainable. Because if it's not simple, it's not sustainable. And again, that's pretty much what I want people to believe, and they can do, is they can believe they can live a healthier lifestyle a lot easier than they think.
So for people that might hear this and say, well, listen, I'm on a ketogenic diet, I eat low carb, I'm a vegan, there's a lot of names of things that are out there. Do you feel as though the way to respond to them is saying, listen, you Isagenix is not replacing all of your food. It's just something that's going to supplement what you need with all the clean eating habits that you decide to do. But because we're so busy and because we're running around everywhere, the greatest thing of all is that it makes the decision of what you're eating, to grab that snack or to grab that quick fix. Because you're limited on time, it makes the eating healthy easier, because typically when you're in a rush and you go, oh, I got a half hour before my next meeting, what could I can't go to a restaurant. Let's go to the drive-thru at McDonald's real quick. I just need something quick, cheap, and easy. And that seems to be what people are drawn to, is quick, cheap, and easy. And I think the easy, the clean, and the healthy and all that is what Isagenix offers. I mean, that's my take on it. Is that how you approach people that are like, I don't need that nonsense. I just need to eat clean, healthy, whole foods, and that's it? Which, of course, you have a healthy lifestyle that way as well. But
you just knocked it out of the park with that. So thank you for that. That's exactly what it is. I call it healthy fast food, right? It's healthy fast food at your fingertips that's actually cheaper than the McDonald's, right? These meals, these aren't just protein shakes, right? That's what I laugh at people. I'm like, no, these are actually meals that you're getting that are derived from real organic products that are made and that are taken at their prime season. They're like, the way we farm these days, they're like, we are nutritionally depleted in a lot of these on our shelves because of the over farming. And Isagenix made it one of their guiding principles that they were going to source their materials from all around the world at the peak times, so that they were getting the most nutritional dense forms of these products to break them down, get them into their shakes, and create the nourishment. You're getting satisfied, and there's a difference between being satisfied versus full. Right. And you hear this, we are overfed and undernourished in our society these days. Right. Our meal sizes are way too big where our nutrition is way too deplete. And I find with these people, once they start using Isagenix, they're balanced. They're not having these really high and low levels of sugar intake and this intake. And I mean, there are people who do the keto. We have a whole vegan line that's here with Isagenix. So there's something for everyone. And it's just it's a foundation for your wellness, and it sets you up. Like, I eat everything still. Like, I go out, I have my cheeseburgers, I have my fries, I have my pizza, I do this. Like, people are like, oh, you must not. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, I want to live a healthy, fun lifestyle. We do Absolutely. 85% healthy, 15% fun. Because again, so we teach simple. Like, keep it effing simple, because that way you really enjoy it. You really find that once you're on, putting these products, and you literally shed this weight off, or you build muscle. Like, I didn't do it to lose weight. I've actually been gaining muscle on this. And it's not just a weight loss program. I mean, that's why we're Team Isagenix ambassadors, right? We work with the highest level athletes, professional teachers around the world, fitness competitors, in part of this, the actual scientific development side of the sports and enhancement side of Isagenix. So whether you're looking to age healthy, lose weight, perform better, Isagenix has got something for you, and it's really incredible. And they stand behind their products with a 100% no compromise attitude towards the ingredients, and that's what I love.
And I would testify to that too, because I've been using Isagenix for several years and sold it for a while. Got a little sidetracked with business and things like that, but we still bring the products into our house and still enjoy it. And my one of my daughters loves the strawberry shake tremendously. And for the time that I did spend, which is how we met, the time that I spend with the company was a very, very positive experience. And who knows, I might pick it up a little bit more again. But really, really good company and very good quality products and very good tasting as well. Easy to get involved with. And when you look at the entire plan you have for the month, it's not expensive when compared to how we normally eat.
Yeah, you actually end up saving money, right?
Yeah. It's easy to integrate. Yeah,
totally.
So you've moved up to a leadership role with this company, which opens up all sorts of avenues for you guys. But you also have recently instituted these like daily workouts, and I've even seen you guys make it onto the news as well. So it almost seems like counterintuitive to be an entrepreneur that wants to make money and have so much free content that's out there. So, so what's that about? Does anyone shake you and be like, bro, put out a couple
Yeah.
free videos and charge, $10 a
Yep.
month for access? And
Well,
so what's the
well,
rationale behind all that, man?
so the real rationale behind, so you're referring to our worldwide workouts, which are free 15-minute body weight only workouts that we produce through our worldwide workout Facebook page. And we do these for two reasons. Number one, for people to stop making excuses, right? All I heard was, I'm too busy, I can't afford a gym membership, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, all right. I'm like, here's an opportunity for you to be able to stop, drop, and work out anywhere at any time. So they're going to be body weight. And again, my favorite tagline for the worldwide workout is, just because it's simple doesn't mean it's hard. It doesn't mean it's easy, right? Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. So our 15-minute body weight workouts are hard. I mean, I just ran a workout down in Nashville at Celebration for Isagenix with about 70 people. And every single person that was there, but again, it's the which people just aren't used to. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, I've got people who have not worked out before for years who are just starting off again. I'm like, do 2 minutes of it. Like, do whatever you can do. Work, like, take breaks when you need to. That's what it's about. It's just about being consistent. Like, the opportunity to be consistent with whatever it is you do. If you're consistent with something, you're going to see effects, right? So we offer these out to the world for free, and we wanted to really just create a community, to create a following. So we believe that if you give things out like Laura does, she does to our Strong Confident Living community, daily mindset broadcasts. Again, 8 to 12 minute broadcast every day, working on the conditioning of your mind. So we did this to create, and we will continue to do our free, we call it our freemium aspect of what we do, to create the following. But we are going to be unleashing here, coming in the fall, what we call our Netflix version. It's $10 a month, and it's going to be a little deeper into the mindset aspect. We are going to create some more workouts where I do include now some resistance with dumbbells and kettlebells for people to follow, even a little bit longer. But we're only doing it at $10 a month because, again, we want to do it for the masses. We don't want people to be like, that's too expensive, especially when it comes to the world of mindset. You see so many people out there charging thousands of dollars for these mindset programs, and it's eliminating so many people from the aspect of being able to do these daily conditioning habits. I'm sorry about that beeping in the background. But it's we want to be able to reach the masses. Again, we want millions of people doing this on a daily forum, so that they become better. Because again, the more we have, the more impact we have, the more change we can promote in our community around the world, right? Because that's what it's about. It's about impacting millions of lives so that we all get better.
Absolutely.
But we believe you got to give it out. We believe it's really important to show people that it's not just about making money, but it's about making an impact. And we believe the more we give, the more we receive.
Absolutely. You're leading your life by example. You're not just telling people what to do and how to do it. And, I don't know about your industry as much, but I know there's martial arts school owners that are out there that have let themselves go completely. They're out of shape. They're overweight. And there's
I know. I don't never get that.
They haven't worked out in 25 years, but they're leading classes somehow. So, I mean, what I like is that, I injured myself, but I'm training towards my second black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I just got my purple belt in June. It kind of sucks. I got to lay off training for a little while, but I fell in love with martial arts as a student. I also love teaching, but to keep the student in me satisfied and to keep me motivated, I have to keep active with that. It allows me to connect to the students more when I'm out there every single day having those same struggles that they have. And I'm not just saying, hey, I remember 20 years ago when I was a student. No. I remember yesterday when I was trying to do something and I failed at it. And they look at, oh, you failed at it? I mean, I'm sure you get the same thing too, because when I see an observation I'd like to make, because I want to devil's advocate for a second. They see you post your daily fitness workouts. They see Laura's mindset workouts. And there's people that are out there that'll look at that and they'll say, Man, that's super intimidating. These people are like so disciplined, so focused. There's no way I could have that commitment and energy. Like they're a different breed of person. It's almost like sometimes when you're as active as you guys are, to some people in a weird way, that can almost be intimidating. So, two questions. One, do you have days where you wake up and you got to be on and you're not quite on and you got to like snap into it? Or are you just like that all the time? And two, how do you try to communicate to people that as passionate and as energetic as you are to not feel intimidated by that?
So yes, number one, absolutely. There's days you wake up and you're just like, I don't have it today, man.
Right.
I'm not feeling it. That's called being human, right? That's called being real. And I let people know that. Like I try to wear my feelings on my sleeves. If I'm having a bad day, I'm not going to hide it. Cause I think too many people do. And when you keep that energy pent up, that's when you get sick.
Exactly, yeah.
And again, like keep it real. Like I think that's something that people really like about our strong, confident living community is that we're real. And we actually try to promote that. Like, listen, don't just post when you're having a great day. Post when you're having a shitty day and you're struggling, because that's what it's about. And it's not like, I think what's one of the things that, even though there are people out there that are like, oh my God, I could never be like that. Like that's like you said, that's intimidating. But we try to show that it's not always rainbows. Like there are days, like Laura and I have gone through the struggles and I mean, the struggles personally, the struggles within our relationship. It's how we've been able to actually grow and stay together for 25 years. I mean, there's been points in our relationships where we could have been easily sure said, screw it, we're done. But that's not like that wasn't something that we wanted. We always, whenever we're in that position, we always think, where do we see ourselves at 80? Where do we see ourselves at 80, 90 years old? And we always have this vision of us sitting on a rocking chair watching the sunset. And, like we always go to those things. So when you're having those down days and you're just not feeling it, you got to let that moment pass and think about where it is you want to be. And again, I think that's probably another hard thing for some people, is that they don't have a clear enough vision of where they're going. They're just going through their daily habits, right? 19 out of 20 people go to work every day and don't understand why they're going to go work and what they're doing. Like that's sad, like don't get yourself stuck in that rut. You can create anything you want to create. You just have to actually have a vision and work your butt off, right? Like look around. Like I didn't get to Malibu because I was born with a silver plate in my mouth, right? Or silver spoon in my mouth. I worked my ass off, right? And I said, this is what I want and this is where I'm going, and I'm going to do everything I have to do to get there. And here I am. Like, again, it doesn't just happen. I think that's what, people are like, they see you and they see where you're at. They see you being successful. And that doesn't happen overnight. Like they don't see me up until 2:00 in the morning. They don't see me like banging my head against the wall when I feel like I'm never going to get somewhere. Like they don't like, but at the same time, like I try to be as open as possible to be like, I'm struggling today, man. Like this is the things I'm feeling. And I put that out there. I have people side of you and like here when you're struggling, because again, down it, you've got to step back, say that I want, how can I get there, and feeling it on those days, and when I think about people who I used to get worried about, like, listen, that's your lens. That's nothing I'm doing, but that's your lens, and you need to change how it is you feel about yourself. Because a lot of people out there do not give themselves enough credit, right? When they're like, oh, I could never step up on stage. And you just believe you can. Like there's a difference. Like it all goes back again, I'll over. What you believe you are is who you are, right? What you believe you are is who you are. It's God, when it comes down to it, it's so goddamn simple. Stop overcomplicating it. Believe you're a badass, man. You'll be a badass. That's simple.
I think that is perfectly well said, man, because that's why I wanted to bring it up, because people take a look at what you do or what we do here, and it's it is that simple. It's showing up, giving it your all, what you talked about, honoring your feelings. Tell everyone people have been asking me this last month, how you feeling? And I'm like, you know what? I'm having an off day today. I'm a little sad that I can't teach that class right now and I can't train. It's kind of hard for me to be here. And I think a lot of people just expect you to be like, oh, I'm good. How are you? And I'm the same way. I wear my emotion on my sleeve, and I'm not going to have a 20-minute conversation and like, woe is me. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to hold this in right now. I'm actually a little bit depressed right now. I've been having some ups and downs. I've had some good days after surgery where I'm that super positive, motivated guy. Like, I got this. And other days where I'm like, oh man, this sucks.
Frustrated.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But so to me though, you kind of have to honor that moment, and then you're able to move on from it. It's when you hide it, I think it stays with you longer, as opposed to saying, all right, I feel that, it's there. Let's talk about it. All right, now I can push that to the side and I can move forward. At least that's how it works for me. Hopefully it'll work for others, man. You've dropped so much good wisdom, you know what I mean? From life experience and what you do. And I'm sure we could talk for a lot longer, but what I'd like to do is give you a moment as we wrap this up to any last words of advice or thoughts that you'd like to leave the audience with, one. And then two, if you could, for people to find you online, to follow you on social media, or to follow you on your websites, could you give us some of that information as well? So the floor is yours, Scott. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, first of all, again, I want to thank you for reaching out and asking me to do this, because I believe from another mother, we have very side of you. So
you're breaking up for a second. Sorry, I don't know if you could hear me. You're breaking up for a quick second. I just want to allow the internet to kick back in for a second.
I do hear you.
Okay.
All right, I'll wait a sec. You hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I'll go right back. So I wanted to, again, thank you I wanted to thank you for having me on. I do believe we're brothers from another mother, and I totally respect you and look up to you, and you challenge me to be better on a daily basis too. So thank you for that. Yes. With that, so we are, if you're ever in Denver, you can check us out at pearlstreetfitness.com for the gym experience, that in-person awesome experience in Denver. We have some amazing trainers there doing just beautiful work. Our online community of Strong Confident Living is a Facebook group, just Strong Confident Living. You can look us up. It's a free and open community to everyone and everyone. And we also have a beautiful website at strongconfidentliving.com. Our workouts can be found within Strong Confident Living or on our on our worldwide workout page, which is a page where we just list the workouts, so it's a lot easier to find. We found that our community was getting so big within Strong Confident Living, it was hard to find the worldwide workouts. So we broadcast out of the worldwide workout, and then we share it out to the different pages. So if you want a 15-minute, no excuse, body weight only workout, you can follow them. There's, I think, over 200 to 300 now of those on there. And you can follow us on Instagram at Strong Confident Living, at Scott St. John, at Laura St. John. And again, if you just want to surround yourself with positive people like Eric himself, follow us and become a voice and become a community. And I think the one nugget I would leave for people is that it all starts within you, and we are all capable of anything we want to do. We just have to sit back, believe we can do it. And again, I see who give themselves a credit and opportunity to do more right from the get-go. And I think we were all built for greatness. I think we all have greatness within inside us, and we just have to release that on and on the world, because you never know who you're going to inspire to then become great themselves. Our world opens our world, that technology, to use it to get your voice out there, to use it to get yourself out there, and to use it to be an inspiration. Because like I said, you never know who you're going to inspire, and you too can do some great things. You just got to start.
Absolutely. There's a couple of moments that you dropped out there, but I got the majority of it. So I'll just apologize to anyone if there's a couple drops in the audio there. Just we happen to be doing our remote interview via the internet, and the internet's not always our friend. But I got the majority of what you said in there, and I want to thank you for taking your time out. Everything you just described just reiterates how busy of a man that you are, being a husband, a father, and a business owner, and all your responsibilities. So I appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me today, and I'm sure we'll be connecting a lot more, in the future as well. I'd love to have Laura on the show and get her take, because she also stands out as not only someone that I think can represent a lot of success in the same philosophy that you have, but I think it is important to see how, for a father of girls, to see how you could be a strong, confident woman and be supportive of your family and your husband and everyone, and find the same balance that you're finding, like you said, for men to be masculine but also sensitive. And I think she represents that as well. So I'll be reaching out hopefully to have her on the show soon.
Yeah.
But anyway, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. Look forward to seeing and following what all your future successes bring. And that's it, man. So everyone, I just want to thank you guys for listening to the new episode of Life's Black Belts, and to thank our guest once again, Mr. Scott St. John. Thank you, Scott. Have a great day, sir.